This is him right before he becomes, the Time Lord Victorious or whatever, where he's like, you know what, fuck fixed points. I can do whatever I want.
We're really explicit tag here. It's second curse word, Lewis.
Sorry. I apologize. It's a lot. I have a lot of emotion in this episode about this episode. Well, I'll try and tone it down.
I'll make sure I remember to put the explicit tag here because I sometimes forget. And no one ever calls me on it. Oh God, it's I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Lewis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
How do you like Planet of the Dead, Lewis?
Oh God,
Really?
I really liked this episode when it first came out.
Yeah?
When I first watched it, I thought, that was really enjoyable. I really liked that. I'm excited for what's to come. And now, no. Just no. It is awful.
Really?
I really do not like it.
Wow.
There is so little about it that I like.
I was not expecting you to swing so hard in the other direction on that.
I wasn't either. Because I do have, somewhat fond memories of watching this episode, and and I love the sort of reveal at the end, the whole he will knock 4 times thing, and I thought that was really cool. And maybe that was ending on that kind of like, ominous foreshadowing note was just enough to sort of make me think that this was like a really good episode. So I was kind of expecting that going in. I mean, like, in a sense, I'd read some stuff online, people were criticizing it, and it was getting some negative feedback or whatever. And so, I was thinking like, well, maybe I am mistaken. Maybe I am. But I was kind of holding on to the idea that like I was sure that I was going to still like this episode kind of a bit. But no, there's so little in it that I enjoy.
I actually liked it more this time than I've ever liked it before.
Really?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. I think I might have liked it the first time, and then the second time I kind of went downhill on it. I think the big problem with it is that, it's just so nondescript.
Okay.
Like there's so little about it that stands out from other episodes, and it was the only episode like in the middle of a year where it's like between Christmas and November of the following year. There was one episode, and it was this, and there just wasn't much to it.
Yeah, that's really the thing.
They went all the way to Dubai to film this.
Yeah, that's that.
Spent a lot of money
just to get some shots of sand. It is nice sand though. Yeah. It's got a nice rich orangey color. I think that's pretty nice.
I think it's kind of difficult to make a desert work on like a soundstage or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the one example I think of is Sci-Fi's. Well, nowadays they call it Sci-Fi, but back when it was the Sci-Fi Channel, they did their miniseries of Frank Herbert's Dune.
Oh, yes.
And I love Dune, and I think that miniseries is overall it's got its good points, but the desert, the actual presentation of the desert is not one of them. Like it looks absolutely ridiculous. It's like a sandbox in front of a painting.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, with that in mind, just looking at how well the desert was realized and how I guess some of the the long horizons were probably CG.
Yeah.
But it blends pretty well, so you do get the effect that they really are in this vast expanse of desert.
Yeah. And, if that's what they were going for, they really drove it home. That's the thing is, it is.
That's one of the best things you can really say about the episode. Wow, it sure does look like they're in the desert.
Yeah, that is kind of about it. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't even know where to begin. I mean, like, the whole setup for the plot to happen is just so ridiculous. So many people had to behave in a way that was so bizarre in order for them to even go through the wormhole.
Well, like how?
I'm going to have to circle back to the robbery scene itself. But after the robbery, Lady Christina boards a bus for her getaway, which I think she does out of desperation because her getaway car is basically out of commission because her driver got caught or whatever. So she boards a bus, which is fine. It's a little weird that the bus driver accepts diamonds.
Well, he just wants the diamonds. It's not so much like as a matter of procedure he accepts them. He's just greedy and wants the diamonds.
Well, yeah. And
what happens to those diamonds when he goes through the barrier?
That's a good question. Do they survive?
Well, they probably turn into what, sand?
It stands to reason. Well, because the thing is that you need metal, you need a Faraday cage in order to get through the wormhole. Okay, but diamonds are such a hard substance. I don't know. Would they have? I don't know. But so I just don't get it because so the bus takes off, and as the bus is taking off, the police captain or whomever.
Well, it drives.
You're right.
It doesn't take off.
I need to specify
That's
that because it later does take off. So I need, specificity. It's very important. The English language is rich, and I need to be careful with which words I use. Anyway, the bus drives off, and the police captain, through the flashing window of the bus, he catches a glimpse of a face that he knows is Lady Christina, who has committed this robbery. Presumably they already knew it was her, but okay, so through a glimpse through a window, he positively IDs the suspect, and he knows it's got to be her, and so they all all of the police scramble to go after this bus, and they are tailing this bus, and their sirens are going, and at no point does the bus driver think to pull over. He's just going on his merry way. Maybe it was the diamonds. Maybe he thought he was going to get in trouble for the diamonds.
Well, no, I think he just wants to keep the diamonds.
So the cops obviously know he just allowed a person to get on the bus without paying the fare. Just did this underhanded diamond maneuver.
He's not very smart. I mean, he's the guy who ends up a few minutes later just stumbling through the barrier when the doctor's telling him not to, and he dies.
Yeah, he does pretty much ignore the copious amounts of warnings that the doctor gives.
Yeah.
After seeing what it does to the bus, he just happily walks through.
So I think they're pretty consistent in portraying his judgment as questionable.
I guess so. I just would have assumed. I mean, all right, in a life or death situation, I can understand maybe not applying the best reason, especially when you're panicked or whatever. But in his day-to-day job, I would have thought, he would have had to have been competent in the rules of the road. I don't know. Maybe it's different in the UK. Do they not pull over for emergency vehicles?
Well, I know they drive on the other side of the street over there.
That's true. So maybe the emergency vehicles just drive on the right side, the correct side, and then there's no issue.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because obviously there's not traffic coming both ways.
Yeah, I don't know that much about the rules of the road.
But even then, if the doctor knows that there's this wormhole up ahead, why doesn't he tell the bus driver to stop? He has the time to tell everyone to brace themselves. Why doesn't he just run up to the bus driver and be like, "Hang on, you got to stop"?
I don't know. Maybe he knows by that point that it's a lost cause.
that he's just doomed to have this plot happen. So he's just.
No. I mean that he's clocked the bus driver. He knows that the bus driver is just not going to listen to a word he says.
Yeah, he's already figured it out. Okay, yeah, I guess that's true. I guess the doctor did make a snap judgment there and just figured the best course of action was to just try and get everyone through this. Everyone just try to help everyone survive this dumb bus driver as best he can. Yeah, all right. I guess I gotta accept that.
I thought that David Tennant had some funny lines. I thought I know people weren't all huge fans of Malcolm.
Yeah,
but I really like Malcolm. I think he's funny.
He's all right, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Lee Evans is a big stand-up comedian in the UK, but no one in America knows about him. So I don't have to be distracted by the fact that he's Lee Evans. I can just be like, hey, that's a funny character.
Yeah. Oh, I guess yeah. If it was obviously stunt casting or whatever, I might be a little bit more annoyed by that. If it's oh yeah, all right, you got the famous comedian. Oh yeah, he's doing this bit or this dumb science nerdy character. All right, I guess that's a thing. Yeah, but yeah, if you're just looking at it from if you're just looking at the character himself, yeah, it's not. I don't think it's that terrible. I mean,
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, sure.
I also I really like when the doctor takes the gold cup and solemnly promises to be careful with it, and then immediately starts welling on it with the hammer. I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in Doctor Who, actually. I really like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I like that, but, like, the whole setup there seems so bizarre.
Oh yeah, it makes no sense. He's just like, oh, I need it because I need something. I need to bond it with the bus. I need something malleable, something ductile, something. It's like there's no attempt to explain why gold is necessary. He just describes characteristics of gold, and he doesn't explain why those are useful in terms of like binding them to the bus or anything like that.
Yeah, that just makes zero sense. It also makes zero sense that those like stupid clamp things. It was really weird how they like the Doctor makes a big deal about how like, oh well, we need this power source. They don't actually need
the gem.
They don't need the gem at all. They just need these stupid fucking anti-gravity clamps, I guess. But I don't even understand like what purpose those clamps would have served on the original ship.
No, not at all. They're just clamps.
They're functionally just clamps. How is it that when you attach them to a bus, suddenly it gains anti-gravity abilities?
No, it's not clear. But I do think it was funny when he throws the gem away. That's funny.
Yeah, sure.
Come on, that's funny.
I'll admit that's funny. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Although actually, there's a moment where he throws it over his shoulder, and then there's a shot of it landing in the sand, and I wondered whether it was going to be like important that it landed there or something.
Yeah.
Like someone would trip over it or something like that, but no, not yet.
Nope, not at all.
Not as of 2015.
Nope.
That is yet to be important.
Really stretching this out here, and you're gonna. I think it's gonna come back to that eventually, though. Yeah, we're gonna circle back to that. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, some of the dialogue was, or like some of the things were funny. I thought some of the dialogue was kind of ridiculous in a way that maybe I would usually enjoy this, but if it weren't wrapped up in an episode that I just disliked so thoroughly, maybe I would have like allowed for it. But like there's things like
most of the things Lady Christina says.
Oh God, like you seem to be the brain box, so start boxing. Like
that's why the aristocracy survives. We're ready for anything. What? That's not a thing. You just said that like it was a clever joke, but there's nothing to it unless there's some like aristocracy joke that I'm missing because I'm not an aristocrat, or unless that's like a reference to a famous quote that I'm not getting or something.
Yeah. Or like at the beginning where the Doctor's fiddling with his little detector device, and she's like, "Right now, a way out would come in handy. Can you detect me one of those?" Like, all of it.
Yeah, I don't like her character very much.
I don't like it much either, and it's so bizarre when I read online about defenses of why she was a great companion, or not a great companion, but why she would have been a good companion, and how people are wishing that she'd come back.
No,
like I don't see it.
Well, I like Michelle Ryan. I liked her in Jekyll.
Yeah.
And when she was cast in Doctor Who, this was after Jekyll had aired, so I was like, oh, it's that girl from Jekyll. She'll probably be pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then she just wasn't. It wasn't. She wasn't interesting. And
no.
her entire backstory just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor like asks her why she's a thief, and she's like, oh, Daddy lost all of our money in the Icelandic banks. And the Doctor's like, that's not a good explanation for why you would be robbing museums. And she's like, no, it's not. and then that's about all we get.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess maybe it's a thing where the Doctor senses in her like kind of a thrill of adventure or whatever, but like, or like a thrill-seeking kind of personality. But I mean, like, she's not a pleasant person.
No,
like I wouldn't. Oh, another quote I took down. That's how I like things. Extreme.
Yes. Extreme.
Oh my god. I feel like it would be made more palatable if it were kind of a Donna situation where at the end of it she sort of acknowledges that no, she shouldn't be robbing people and museums, and if she has some kind of change of heart or something to indicate that there's anything good in her, but she still seems like she's like the same backstabbing thief that she was at the start of it.
No, and the Doctor lets her go for no reason.
He really doesn't.
He should have just let her get taken away to jail.
Right. Like she should have to face up to these consequences.
But no, instead he gives her a flying bus.
Well, yeah, I guess and maybe I don't know. Maybe that says something about his mindset at the time. Like because this is him right before he becomes the Time Lord Victorious or whatever, where he's like testing the rules and like he's lashing out. I think You know, he could be still upset about Donna. Who knows? So, you know, I think he's pushing the bounds here. He's seeing what he can get away with, and, you know, I don't know. I think he's in a weird place right now. That's the only way I can justify this. Like, why he would let Christina go, why he would even think she's a good companion. Because at the end, he was like, we were so great together, or whatever. I don't even remember. But, like, you know, it just seems bizarre. Also, where do you go? Where do you go when you have a flying bus? Like, presumably she left the UK. But, like, you know, where does she put that thing down?
I don't know. Can it, like, leave Earth? Can she do that?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. The clamps somehow confer anti-gravity, so I wouldn't put it past them that they would confer some sort of cabin pressure or whatever, you know, an air bubble.
Yeah, I'm sure they can do lots of things.
I'm sure she can travel through time, and I think this is just like the magic school bus now or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing. You can shrink down, become tiny, go into someone's circulatory system.
Sure.
Sky's the limit.
What did you think about the rest of the people on the bus?
You know, it's funny because I'd sort of forgotten that it feels like this happened more in the Russell T Davies era, where like they would have just people who were just psychic, and it was just like it would not necessarily there's even an explanation, just like, oh yeah, this person's psychic.
I honestly hate that character.
Oh really?
Yeah, I hate it. I hate I'm psychic for no reason. I'm going to say things that don't advance the plot, and then just randomly at the end I'm just going to drop an arc word on you just because. Oh, and Doctor, he will knock 4 times, apropos of nothing. And then it's great because the music gets very dark and ominous and slow zoom on David Tennant as he's like in fear, and then all of a sudden it's another shot where it's just like complete mood whiplash where he's letting Christina go, and the music gets all happy and joyful again. Then it's like, oh well, let's just pretend that never happened.
Right? Yeah. That is kind of a bizarre thing. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, like I'm not a huge fan of that kind of character either. But like, I'd forgotten that it was just it's so matter of fact in. I feel like it doesn't happen as much with Stephen Moffat's seasons. I don't think that we get as many characters who are just randomly psychic.
No, I feel like if there's going to be something like that, usually there's a reason for it or it contributes to the plot. Like you have in the lady in Hyde.
Oh yes, right.
Yeah, but there's a good reason why that person is in that place doing those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know. It's just so pointless.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't serve any purpose and. It's like an example. This is also like a trope in fiction, like the magical black person.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah.
It's just an example of that, and it's like,
yeah.
I honestly don't understand what this is doing in this episode, other than just to give it a lame excuse to throw in another arc word, which is exactly like all the other arc words that you've done before, like, you know, bad wolf, and like where are all the bees going, and like he will knock 4 times, and you know, there's something on your back.
Where the bees are going, that's definitely up there, though. You know
what? I honestly think that people who are like really sick of Moffat and complain about his like repetition and recycling of his own material, you know, there's something in that. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a completely baseless complaint, but I always have to assume that those people are people who joined the Doctor Who fandom after 2009, because by this point, like, everyone was sick to death of Russell T Davies, and all of his just like random recycling of his stuff.
Yeah, that's the weird phenomenon though, because when you're binge watching, you don't notice that all these things are being repeated because they're all coming at you so fast. You don't have time to like spend time thinking about all these things. Like, you know, the length of time between a pair of seasons, you know, you'd spend a lot of time reflecting on the last season and thinking about the next one. And then when they turned out to be like, when you saw in the next season that they were recycling some of the things from last season, you know, you could kind of focus on it more. So, you know, I think that's really, I don't think you notice really when you're binge watching. And I think that's, so yeah, I feel like a lot of people were just catching up on Netflix and, you know, didn't really pay attention to. And that's the thing is, you know, I think overall, like when people look back to the Russell T Davies era, I think like a lot of what they're thinking of is like how they were binge watching it and how if you get a bad episode, it's fine because there's another one.
Yeah.
You can just immediately go and watch the next one. And so, you know, I think it compresses the quality without also giving you so much bad things to focus on. Like, I mean, like you just sort of shrug those off, I guess. You shrug off the sort of bad episodes.
There's no time to dwell on the bad things because the bad things are just the things you're going to forget.
Exactly.
The good stuff is the stuff that you'll always remember because, I mean, that's the stuff that's worth remembering.
Yeah. Exactly.
With some rare exceptions.
Yeah, so I think for in a lot of ways, I think people look back and they don't see the same sort of problems that they see like after joining and becoming fans. So there are a lot of things that really like typify the Russell T Davies era that are present in this episode.
But I think the people on the bus are just one of the worst things about this episode.
Yeah,
because they're so boring, and it's like there are a lot of Doctor Who episodes that are like, oh, we're all in a vehicle together, and there's a bunch of different characters, and we've all got our own little things about us. But in this case, like all the other characters are incredibly slight, have nothing to do with the plot. Nothing.
They don't.
Absolutely nothing. And in order to like give them some kind of characterization, there has to be a scene where they literally take turns saying a sentence or two about themselves. Like the Doctor points at them and says, "Okay, your turn to say a couple things about yourself."
Right.
And then they say it, and then that's characterization.
Right. It's that annoying icebreaker that's at the beginning of every floor meeting in college. It's awful. It's awful. And most of those characters do boil down to just being like laborers who just like dig the bus out.
Yeah.
Which ultimately serves no purpose, but so that like they're just they don't do really anything at all.
Yeah, and I can't be bothered to remember their names, but the one guy who's married to the psychic lady, he literally never does anything in the episode other than speak to or on behalf of his wife. He's like a liaison with the psychic lady who's presumably too busy being psychic to actually converse with the other characters.
Yeah, his name is Louis, which I only remember because he's sharing a name with me. So, but yeah. He's terrible. It's just no, ugh, yeah. But yeah, no, it's all terrible.
I did kind of like the whole notion of the way her psychic powers let them win the lottery twice a week, and then Michelle Ryan's character is Christina is like, well, you don't look like millionaires, and then he kind of like shoots her down and he's like, yeah, well, we get £10 twice a week, and that's pretty awesome, okay? And then it's like she's a super rich person who steals gold cups, so what would she know of how awesome it is to sometimes just find out that you have £10 you didn't know you'd have.
Right, it's the little things. She doesn't understand. It's the little things in life that just make it all worthwhile. Yeah, no, really none of those characters. Like, yeah, the other guys, I did actually write down their names, Nathan and Barclay. Because I was wondering what happened to them because I think at the end there's some implication that the Doctor says like, hey, you want to recruit these guys? And so they went off with Unit or whatever.
It's so silly. It's like he's got to like fix everyone up with jobs.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, I mean, they probably have their own jobs. Like, who knows? And like, Unit's probably gonna get them killed too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is a high risk job that he's putting them to do. This is just another example of the Doctor, making soldiers. Like, wasn't this literally, like, a big point made in Journey's End that, like, Davros is saying, like, oh, yeah, look at all your warriors or whatever. And then here he goes, just doing it again. Has he learned nothing? I do have to bring up, though, at some point, this robbery scene.
Okay.
Which I understand. I understand them wanting to do this sort of, like, big and like high octane, robbery scene where they got all this stuff going on, but it contains it's so dumb. Like the way that they are protecting this stupid cup is so dumb because they have lasers that go up the sides but don't go over the top in any fashion, and then they have 4 guards placed around each side pointing outwards, none of them looking at the cup. I don't understand this. What? Like, is this?
Yeah, just buy a mirror.
I know. Come on, put it in a hall of mirrors, because then you've got a lot of cups to look at.
Yeah, wow.
It's great. I mean, come on. And it just happens to be positioned, above or below a skylight.
It's designed to be stolen.
It really is. It is. It's like it's just like a little chute where you can just you just like here it is. Just take it. Like this is just where you come in and take your cup. Get like cup pickup here. Yeah. It's awful.
Yeah.
And then it's the weirdest thing because I guess so she sort of repels back up or whatever. I don't know what the term is for
something like that.
Reverse spelunking. Unspelunks. She unspelunks back up.
Spelunking is cave diving.
Oh, is it? That's right, it is. So anyway, she goes back up. She moves in an upward direction, and then I guess the next shot is her running down a hall. I guess that works. I don't know how. And then she's just running down the hall, and she decides to stop and remove her mask. I don't know why. She's not out of the building. She just decides, now's a good time to take off this mask. And she takes it off, and then the alarms go off. And of course the alarms go off because she put down a little toy that was making a squeaking noise.
Yeah.
Like she wanted to get caught. Or not wanted to get caught, but she wanted to draw attention to the fact she'd stolen the thing. And now she's gone, and she's taken off her mask, and she's just, I don't, like, she must just be the worst thief. Like, this must be the first time she's stolen anything, right?
Well, but she says it's a lifestyle.
Maybe it's a lifestyle choice she has just recently made.
Yeah. Right,
she read about it in a magazine, but, like, this was a lifestyle. And she's like, oh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
I got money. I can buy gear to rappel down a building or whatever. I can do that. So it's just, and it's awful. And then it's weird to me because this is something that's so weird to me. And I never see it brought up by anybody. And so I feel like I must be the only one, but I feel like her accomplice looks a lot like David Tennant. I mean, you don't get a clear shot of him, but he's not wearing the suit. He's wearing like a jacket.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything about him.
I know, and I
forgot
feel like
she even had one. Did she have one?
She did. Well, because she runs out like a side exit or whatever, and she sees them cuffing some guy, and she says, obviously just to herself, but she says, "Sorry, lover," and then she takes off in the other direction.
Right. I do remember.
Yeah. So clearly they were in cahoots somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just, I think it's his hair. I don't know, like they did a bad, like they're filming this from an angle because his face is on the hood of a car, so it's a little tough to see. But the way it's shot is, it's this guy with like kind of brown spiky hair. And I mean, I guess that sums up David Tennant really. I mean, and so, I don't know, in my head, at first glance, I was bothered by that and really kind of, it just like stopped me because I spent a lot of the episode, not like, well, I don't know, like, I mean, obviously it's not, but like the first time I watched it, it was a little confusing to me, and I'm subsequently re-bothered by it every time I see it because I don't know, I just feel like this is not David Tennant, but they picked someone who looks a lot like David, like in my opinion, from a distance, looks a lot like David Tennant, and it just bothers me. It just bothers me they couldn't have picked a different looking accomplice. He's there for half a second. We don't hear any lines. We don't hear anything. He's just he's nothing but a face, and they picked a face that bothers me.
Well, I don't even remember it, so I guess it didn't bother me.
I guess not. I guess it's fine. I guess I am literally the only person who was bothered by this. I guess I need to let this go.
Yeah, you really do.
I really do. Oh, you know what's funny, or not funny, but retroactively weird, and I'm gonna call it foreshadowing.
Okay.
Is that the doctor misremembers the number for unit and ends up calling a pizza place called Pizza Geronimo.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
So I'm going to, my headcanon is now that this imprinted in his mind the word Geronimo as he was regenerating, and that's why it became so prominent for the 11th Doctor to say.
I guess, although he didn't actually say it all that much.
You know, that's true. But he did say it immediately after regenerating, so I think it was in his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, because everyone thought that was going to be like the new Allons-y, and it turned out to not really be.
I don't think Moffat was interested in doing that.
Right, and, you know, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have gotten really annoying. Like, yeah, actually, I want to count. How many times did the 11th Doctor say Geronimo? Because it wasn't... I know he said it in, obviously, in The End of Time Part 2, and he said it in The Beast Below. I don't know if he actually said it in the 11th hour.
I honestly don't remember. I think there are a few more instances of it.
Yeah, I feel like there must be. I don't know if there are any yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I was already sick of it by the time The Beast Below aired. So I'm kind of glad they didn't keep bringing it up.
Yeah.
Because it was basically the exact same thing as Allons-y. it was like they were carrying over on a joke that was already played out.
Yeah. I mean, luckily they didn't play it too much, although I think it was still seized upon by fans.
It was.
And continued to be, even though it didn't appear in the show very much.
Yeah, but
it was used prominently in the trailer for Series 5, I believe.
I am sure that it was.
So what do you think about the glorious high definition? Because this is the first one.
I liked it. I mean, I loved seeing that sand in high def. I don't know how much this really made use of the high def, because mostly it was either in a sandscape or it was, nighttime, and there wasn't really a lot in between.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it really took advantage of the fact.
No, and I honestly think that even though The Waters of Mars and The End of Time Parts 1 and 2 were in high def, the real visual change in the show, or at least the more notable one, didn't really occur until the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Because from that point on, I mean, visually it just looks like it's different, and you can kind of tell there's been a change, whereas it's very much the same style. It's just, the resolution is bumped up or whatever.
Yeah, everything looks crisper.
Yeah.
You can see that the Chuck Taylor logo has been rubbed off David Tennant's shoes.
Yes.
That's very obvious.
And you don't see very much of the inside of the TARDIS. There's just one brief glimpse at it, because I think one of the concerns was that the inside of the TARDIS was not suitable for HD filming.
Right.
I guess they must have presumably resolved that in time for the end of time, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, and I wonder what that really means. I mean, could you see, I don't even know, things that were obviously fake, like Phillips head screws or whatever?
It could just be they were limited in the angles they could use or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And yeah, and that TARDIS console makes a reappearance in other parts. Well, because I can't remember if the whole thing appears in The Doctor's Wife or if it's just a few pieces. But
there is what seems to be the whole set to me.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it seems to me like if there's anything missing from it, then they cheat around it enough that I didn't notice.
Yeah. So that does make other HD reappearances. So I guess they improved it in whatever way they needed to.
Yeah, or maybe they just got less insecure about it.
That could very well be.
They probably could have. I mean, because the show started in 2005.
Yeah.
By which point HD was already a thing.
That's true.
So it's a little strange to me that they didn't do that from the beginning, but I guess it wasn't considered cost effective or whatever.
I guess. Yeah, that is a bit weird. Well, and because they were using videotapes or whatever. I guess they thought they were taking a gamble to begin with, so I guess maybe they didn't want to invest, thinking that customers, a decade later are going to want to buy the Blu-rays or whatever. So. Yeah,
and they Torchwood was HD from the beginning.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's right, because I have it on Blu-ray. Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. And wait, when did that start? Was that 2007?
That was 2006, I want to say.
Oh, okay. Huh. Oh, wow.
Yeah, late 2006.
Yeah. See, so they did it there. Yeah, that's weird. It's almost like it. You'd think that as soon as they would have decided that this was maybe not profitable, but this is a worthwhile thing, that they would have switched to HD. At the very least, to not begin with it, that's one thing, but after they realized they had a hit on their hands, wouldn't they want to throw more money at it? I don't know, but it's weird that they waited so long, and also weird that they chose right here to switch to HD.
Yeah.
The Next Doctor, was that would that have been part of the previous season order, or no,
but it could just be that just in terms of the scheduling, it just worked out that it was easier here, or the budgeting, or something like that. I don't know.
I guess so. That is weird. It's weird for them to decide. Although and on the other hand, I do like seeing David Tennant in HD. I like seeing close-ups of his costume and stuff, and I think that's neat. And
yeah,
because it's always, I don't know. I do like looking at the little details that they add for stuff like that. And so not that there's, I can't think of anything really distinct about David Tennant's costume, but the pattern on his tie and things like that. And that's that's neat stuff to be able to see.
Just like the texture of his
exactly
clothing and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I like that, and so I like that we got to see David Tennant in HD at least a little bit.
Are you aware of the significance of the number 200?
Yeah, right. I think we mentioned at one point it was that there had been 200 stories
This is
at that point?
the 200th Doctor Who story, depending on how you count.
Okay, right. And that's why they did the Mighty 200 poll.
Yeah.
Right.
So you would have to count the Trial of a Time Lord as one story rather than four, and you'd have to count Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords as a single 3-part story rather than a 1-parter and then a 2-parter.
I see. Huh. Oh wow. This is more complicated.
Both of which are very controversial.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially Trial of the Time Lord. I mean, I guess they do sell that as a single box set, so that's not that weird. But it does seem kind of weird.
Well, they sell it as a single box set, but on the U.S. releases, and I don't know if they do this in the U.K. releases, but they have a story number on every release, and it has 4 numbers on the back of the Trial of a Time Lord.
Huh. So that's weird.
So it is treated as 4 stories for the purposes of the DVD numbering, but that's not like the word of God or anything. It's just what the DVD people did.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, yeah. So theoretically, the that 200th story could have come a bit earlier. Then it could have been sometime in season 4, series 4, and that wouldn't have been as fun. It also wouldn't have had that reference for 200. So
no, which was very fun.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It was a very fun reference.
Oh, very fun.
Kind of like in Midnight, what was it? The number 50 bus.
Oh, is that 50 episodes of New Who?
Yeah, something like that.
That's adorable.
Isn't it? Isn't it just?
It is. Something I do like in this episode, something I still like, even though I strongly dislike everything else about it now, is I do like the concept of the monsters, basically. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much science is really behind this. Probably not a lot, but it feels believable that there are these aliens or these sort of flying creatures that can generate a wormhole and then fly through it and then just eat everything. That's like a pretty cool concept. Like, I mean, I know that metal spinning around in a circle will generate an electromagnetic field, so I would be willing to extend to that wormholes can also be created in that same fashion.
Why not?
Yeah.
It reminds me of, are you familiar with the Langoliers?
No.
So it's a novella by Stephen King, which was turned into a TV miniseries, like a 4-hour miniseries in the 90s. Which I guess the Langoliers are like a swarm of like creatures on the horizon. I guess they eat. I don't know what they eat. They eat like reality or something.
Oh, okay.
Or time or something like that. I don't know, but yeah. I have nothing much to say about the Langoliers, but I have seen it on television or parts of it on television.
Is it not very good?
I don't think so.
So maybe this is just a bad concept overall, to make an episode around. Like, maybe it just generates poor quality stories.
Maybe.
Like it, I don't know. Like, but I mean, I do like it. I like this sort of idea that there's these basically like space termites that'll just eat everything, that eat your civilization down to dust. Like, I'm on board with that. Like, I can get behind that. I mean, like, I don't understand how such a species could evolve. I mean, like, that seems ridiculous to me.
Well,
like, I don't like it. It involves a lot of coordination, unless it just like spontaneously happened that this was just their migratory pattern, and then they evolved. I also don't understand how like that could have ever first happened, because you have to like refine metal. Like, it's not like easy. Like, you don't just find like lumps of, I don't know, steel on the ground or something.
Well, maybe they're a science project gone wrong. They might not necessarily have been naturally occurring.
Oh, there you go. That explains it. I'll buy that. I will buy that. That I accept, because that makes a lot of sense. And you think, and I think that could even be a recurring villain. Could be behind that. There's an episode there.
Ooh.
I think.
Could be Gus.
Could be Gus. It really could be. More likely, or actually, if they wanted to bring back the Ronnie, we could say that this was one of her experiments gone wrong,
or maybe gone right.
Oh, gone. Yeah, this is mission accomplished. That was. This
She just wanted to get rid of a lot of whatever.
Yeah, randomly destroy planets. That's another thing. Is how is it that the wormhole? I guess the wormhole must just be attracted to gravity wells, maybe.
Yeah,
like maybe
something like that.
Yeah, it comes in right at the surface. That's kind of nice, you know. And then it goes up. That's even nicer. So I can just fly right through. It's like this portal. That's really nice. You know, this is. It's like if you came upon a watch just in the middle of nowhere, you wouldn't think that watch was naturally occurring, now would you? Same thing. These things didn't come out of nowhere. Someone was creating them. You know, this is a very complicated machine, and I think there is a prime mover here.
I guess so.
Oh my god. I just regurgitated everything I learned in high school and college religion classes for like the philosophy of whatever. I don't even remember.
Yeah, the philosophy of whatever.
Oh god. All right. So yeah, I think these can't be naturally occurring. It just makes zero sense. But I definitely buy that they were created in some horrible experiment. I'll buy that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big universe, so presumably there's someone out there who would want to create these.
Yeah.
And that person may be the Ronnie, or it may be Gus, or maybe someone else.
Yeah. Maybe Davros in his spare time, you know?
Yeah.
He created the Daleks, but maybe he figured like the Daleks needed like a pet, like a cat or a dog, and so he made these terrifying monsters that can devour planets. It's really easy. It helps the Daleks really, because I mean, you know, it's eliminating planets that they would otherwise have to exterminate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of pet that Davros would make for his Daleks.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
I also just something tickles me about the idea of a Dalek holding a leash with one of these things on it and it's just walking its terrifying planet-devouring monster. I like that.
That would be very amusing.
But yeah.
I guess I never really thought that much about what Daleks would have as pets, but I guess I don't need to think that much about it anyway because I have an answer.
Right. This is all solved.
So, Lewis.
Yes.
Shall we randomly select the next story that we'll be watching after Planet of the Dead?
I think we shall.
All right, then let's get to it.
Okay,
the random selector has been activated. It is churning through its ancient routines of selection, which is just random. It has randomly come up with The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Which is, I believe, chronologically the last story in our randomizer.
I think it would have to be.
Because after that is A Christmas Carol, which we've already done an episode on.
That's right. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's the upper bound.
Yeah, wow.
Well, all right.
I feel like I have things to say about that.
I will probably have things to say about that, especially in light of things that have happened since then.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I would have had things to say about it anyway, even if it were the day after it aired. But I think it's something that's going to be really interesting to look back on, especially in light of the time of the Doctor. Yeah,
very true. Yeah, and I feel like we already kind of talked about it, because I feel like we probably talked about Series 5 as a whole.
We did a Series 5 in retrospect.
Yeah. So I feel like we probably have talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I certainly have thought about it more, and you know, it definitely. Yeah, actually, I'm just kind of excited to watch it again, because you know it has been quite a while.
Well, I rewatched it pretty recently. But,
right.
But I am excited to go back and watch it again and see what more I have to say about it, because it will be something, I'm sure.
I am sure it will.